Awesome. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Lacey Brown. I'm a gerontology field specialist with South Dakota State University Extension, and I will be serving as the moderator for today's event. I'm going to go ahead and introduce who our speakers are. First, we have with us Dr. Rhoda Burrows. She's a professor and horticulture specialist based here in Rapid City. Sorry, I'm in Rapid, not everyone else is. She provides support for fruit and vegetable growers in South Dakota with a strong focus on small scale and beginning growers. If you've ever taken a master gardener training in the past 10 years, you probably met Dr. Burrows. Curtis Braun is a food safety field specialist based in Sioux Falls. Curtis assists South Dakota food entrepreneurs by coordinating basic food testing and shelf stability analysis, understand regulatory jurisdiction for foods other than canned and baked goods, and assist with other marketing aspects regarding food safety and food labeling here in South Dakota. Prairey Walkling is a family and community health field specialist based in Rapid City. She is funded through the SNAP-Ed grant and provides guidance and facilitation for wellness coalitions in Pennington, Ogallala, Lakota, and Bennett counties. Barb Cromwell is the manager of the Black Hills Farmers Market. And finally, we have Michelle. I'm sorry, I'm not going to try your last name, I'll butcher it. And her husband, Rick, own and operate Deer Butte Gardens near Sturgis. So before I turn the microphone over to the experts, I want to go over a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording this session and it will be available later on YouTube. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a little icon that says chat. Just click it, open it, type your questions there. Following the session, you'll get emailed the link, the YouTube link, and some links for other helpful resources for this topic. And without further ado, take the floor, Prairey.
You are muted, Prairey.
Sorry about that. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And okay. Sorry, I was having a little trouble getting the screen to advance. Did we get Curtis or not yet?
I don't see Curtis yet.
Okay, so maybe we can go back to his section if he is able to get on. Sorry, I'm having trouble advancing the slide. Any suggestions?
Do you see those arrows in the bottom left?
There we go. Sorry about that. So there's the housekeeping that Lacey went over. And so our topic today is accessing local foods during the time of COVID-19. So we know that COVID-19 will affect the way that we grow and procure local foods to some extent. And so Curtis was going to go over some food safety in the time of COVID-19. Rhoda and Barb will talk about summer 2020 farmers market operations. And Michelle and Rhoda will speak to local food producers and the adjustments, some of the adjustments that they have made due to COVID-19. And then we will also share some local food resources that are available in South Dakota. So we might come back to this. This was Curtis's section and he is really the expert here. But I can summarize that COVID-19 is not a foodborne illness and it's extremely unlikely to catch it through eating. And we do have a resource on our website that explains this a bit more. And many South Dakota farmers, producers, and the farmers markets are being proactive in making some changes, in planning how best to provide their essential services, but while still keeping the public as safe as possible. So And we are going to go to a polling question. Okay, so Matt, are you able to launch that polling question?
It's on the screen, Prairey.
All right, great. So what are your reasons for buying local food? You can select all that are applicable. To support local small family farms or the local economy, to support sustainable farming practices, to shop for products that aren't available in your local grocery store, to have more nutritious food, to have food that tastes better, to support community interaction. And if you have other reasons, if you could please type those in the chat box. So we have about 66% have voted. Give you a little more time.
Prairey, it's not letting speakers vote, so that might be the difference.
Okay. So it looks like a very popular reason is to support.
Click in polling.
Okay. I
And
didn't
then
know
you
if that was me or
Yeah.
Matt.
Yep, and then click share results.
All right. Thanks, Lacey.
You're welcome. There you go. Now
All
talk
right.
about them.
So it looks like a lot of people really want to support our local family farms, local economy. They all also feel that the food tastes better. And the third would be to have more nutritious food, followed closely by community interaction, sustainable farming, and I don't see any other reasons, although there probably are lots of reasons. All right. So now that we have established some of the reasons why local foods are important, a great way to access those local foods is through your local farmers market. And I am going to turn it over to Rhoda and Barb to talk a bit more about farmers markets.
I'll jump in to start with. Across the state, we have farmers markets responding in different ways to COVID. Some have continued to have an open market, but with special attention to social spacing, spacing out the vendors further, requiring people to wear masks, those sorts of aspects. Then some have not started for the season yet. There are quite a few markets that don't usually start till June. So some of those are still trying to figure out what they're doing. And we have some markets that have gone to online ordering solely, and we have at least one market that's doing a combination of those across the state. So sort of a mixture. So if you're wondering about where you might find a farmer's market or find contacts to discover what's going on with your local market, Lacey's just typed in the chat box, I believe, the URL for a farmer's market locator. So you can click on that and icons will show up on a map with the information. With that, I will just go ahead and let Barb tell you about how the Black Hills Farmers Market has decided to respond to COVID this year and how that's going.
Thanks, Rhoda. Yeah, the Black Hills Farmers Market, at least to start off the season, is going online only. We have subscribed to local food marketplace to be able to have a link on our website at blackhillsfarmersmarket.org that allowed us to put the entire farmers market online. So, you know, we're 2 weeks in and we have about 650 products online already. And so the way we have it set up is customers can look at what's available anytime from, you know, from home, from any of their devices. The order window is Tuesdays through Thursdays, and then that sets you up for pickup on Saturday morning. And so, you know, we have it really set up with wide spacing, multiple booths across our parking lot so that customers can just drive right up to a booth and give the producer there their name and their order from, you know, across the farmers market. Multiple vendors is available to pick up and be on their way. And so it's really set up with safety in mind during this time. The vendors are all wearing masks and gloves. And so it's working really quite well. So yeah, we are encouraged to be able to, you know, still provide a lot of access to, you know, dozens of vendors and high quality food, and limit the you know, direct contact at the market. We have a lot of produce just starting to come in: hydroponic tomatoes, lettuces, cucumbers, mushrooms. And then, you know, we've been hearing so much about, you know, concerns about meats, but we have at our, you know, at the local market with the smaller meat processors, we have a wide, you know, variety of meats with, you know, poultry, beef, lamb, all of those kinds of things that customers might be looking for. And so in this way, we're really able to, you know, customers can shop for fresh, you know, just picked that day, a wide variety of items. They can put their food dollars to work, you know, supporting dozens of businesses in the area, and you know, really kind of strengthen the economy while this at the same time, you know, boosting our own family's health and immune systems. And then I also wanted to add that the Black Hills Farmers Market is still offering our Double Up Food Buck system this year for customers with EBT benefits. And so, you know, we've gotten sponsorships from Monument Health and Black Hills Area Community Foundation to be able to provide for customers with EBT benefits. They can shop our online store, and then the benefits are processed when they arrive at Market Park to pick up their products, and then we can stretch those EBT benefits further. So if you spend $20 in your EBT benefits, you get that $20 in, you know, a variety of EBT eligible products, but then you also get a free $20 worth of produce or food producing plants. So like at our market right now, we have mushroom grow kits, which is kind of a fun new thing to try, or there's, you know, herb plants for your garden or pepper plants, those kinds of things. And so all of that can be ordered online, and then your benefits processed when you come to pick up at the market location. Are there any other questions about what Black Hills Farmers Market is doing to start off our season?
Barb, this is Rhoda. I'm just wondering, how do you feel like it's been going so far? Are the vendors getting orders? Did you notice a difference between the first week and the second, and those kinds of things?
Yeah, it's slowly growing. We've just tried it for 2 Saturdays now, and so it's been a learning curve for me, and I'm excited now to feel like I understand the system. We have a large part of the market, online and rolling, and so now I'm looking forward to putting a little bit more energy into getting the word out into the community, and so that we can, people can kind of learn and adapt to this new system rather than just, happen to be driving past on Saturday and stop to pick it up. But for, the large scale changes that we've taken in, I think it's going pretty well, and I've gotten really good feedback from the people who have tried it. But I would say that that's something we're still working to get the word out across the community a little bit more.
Barb, we had a Live Well Black Hills meeting last week, and one of the questions was, how long do you think that you will use this system, or are you just kind of waiting to see how it goes? Or
that's a great question. We are planning to keep this system in place for the foreseeable future. We think that it's a really nice addition to the market. Everybody, of course, misses the traditional farmers market, and we're really going to keep an eye on the progression of the pandemic in our community, and kind of make these decisions over time as is prudent for the way things are.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any other questions for Barb? No. All right, hearing none, we will go on to our another polling question. So after hearing from Barb about how the Black Hills Farmers Market is operating this year, would you feel comfortable using the market this year? So there's a yes or no, and then if you do have any further concerns, if you could type those in the chat box. Thanks.
You didn't launch the poll yet. Was there an actual poll for it?
There we go.
There it is.
Sorry about that. All right. So it looks like people feel very safe with that method. Thanks everybody for voting. All right. So we have Curtis on. He has joined us. So we are going to go back to Curtis's section on food safety if he is ready to go.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I can jump right in. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about food safety and COVID in light of, I guess, any fears, expectations, or worries around the farmers market. And so, whenever we look at food safety, we always look at it in terms of kind of like a HACCP approach, which is severity and likelihood. So severity, how bad would it be if someone got sick, ill, hurt, and then likelihood, how likely is it going to happen? And so one of the things that we look at with the with COVID-19 is one is the virology behind it, right? So what is the route of transmission? When you compare COVID-19 to, say, Norwalk virus, you're going to find that it's two separate routes of transmission. So as you guys know, COVID-19 is something that is more of a respiratory illness versus Norwalk virus, which is a gastrointestinal illness. So if you're wondering what's the reason, why is it safe to eat food? The route of transmission plays a major factor in it. So, when the Smithfield outbreak occurred and there were these questions around, whether or not the meat was safe to eat, and the answer came back, yes, it is. That was based on the severity and likelihood, right? So what's the route of transmission? Well, we know that it occurs during with contact, but it's a respiratory virus. So it's not going to have any sort of impact. And then, the second thing we look at is pathogens versus virus growth. So pathogens, they can grow in food depending on the temperature. Viruses, they do not grow in food. And so you have a different risk there as well. And then the last thing would be, if you eat your food, you're just not going to drink or breathe your food in, right? So even if you do eat your food and there's COVID-19 on it, it's going to go to your stomach and it's going to get destroyed by your stomach acids. So keeping all those things in mind, that is the food safety side behind why COVID-19 is not a route of transmission through food. And so if you go to the farmer's market and there's a lot of fruits and vegetables and things like that, you can be confident that the route of transmission of eating it is not going to be what gets you sick. And so we had also put out guidance for the farmers markets on how to manage your farmers market and put some guidance out there in terms of what could be done to operate it safely. And so some of those things will closely mimic the CDC guidelines, and you can check our extension website there. But it's going to have such things as making sure that you have signs for your patrons, and then also for your vendors. If they're showing any of those signs like fever, headache, sore throat, cough, loss of smell or taste, that they stay home. Having sanitizers, face masks, making sure your vendors are utilizing good GMPs, practicing social distancing, rounding the sale price of your products to whole dollars, just to minimize the amount of cash swapping. So things like that. So if you have questions on how to make your farmer's market a little safer, you can check out the article that we posted there online. And one more thing that we had talked about earlier was whether or not, with the food safety and handling things, should you handle fruits, vegetables, or any other products any different way? And what I would say is, for fruits and vegetables, just follow the normal practice of just washing it off with water, and then potentially using a brush to get off any of the soil. Don't use any sanitizer or hand soap or detergents or anything else on that, because those surfaces are pretty porous, and so they can actually absorb into the fruit or the vegetable. So just making sure that you're doing a simple washing of your fruits and vegetables, along with maybe just using a brush to scrub off any of the dirt or debris, would be more than sufficient in terms of ensuring that produce is safe. So if you have any other questions regarding food safety and COVID-19 or any of those market guidelines, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions.
Thank you, Curtis. Yeah, and that just, when you brought up the minimizing the cash swapping and those type of transactions, it just made me wonder, Barb, how you're handling that. Are people paying online before they, or do you have a couple of different options for payment?
So currently everybody is paying online, except with the EBT system that's processed on site. And I know some states are piloting a remote payment for EBT, and so hopefully that'll come online, sometime in the near future. But yeah, right now everyone is just paying remotely, and that way they can just drive right up, pick up their groceries, and go.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And I will turn it over to Rhoda and Michelle to talk about local producers and how this may have affected them, or any adjustments they've had to make. Or so thank you for being here, Michelle.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. Would you like me to go first, or Rhoda?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So we're a pretty small farm here, and we raise vegetables for CSA and direct purchase, and then some livestock for meat also. And so happily, our early planting and all of that has really just gone on like it normally would. Other than, I guess, just kind of the distancing from each other as we're doing stuff. But usually there's only 2 to 3 people here at a time that are working out seeding or transplanting. And so we just try to be really careful about, when everybody gets here in the morning, washing hands real good before we go out to work. And I mean, that was standard anyways, what we were doing. And then having, wash station available so that when anyone takes a break or, has a sneeze or a cough or whatever, they can go wash up real quick in between the tasks they're working on. I guess, some of the things that we would pay a little more attention to would be if we're sharing tools, that sort of thing, back and forth. But usually one of us is doing a completely different task than another one is doing. And so we have the means at hand to do sanitization of tool handles and that sort of thing in between. But we just kind of try to do that on a daily basis as we're finishing up, or before we start in the morning anyways. So then the next step that we'll be working on this next week is our actual pickup for our CSA shares. And that our first one will be this next week that we'll be doing that. And the interesting thing is that over the years, we've been trying to get away from individually bagging all of the produce and trying to get away from plastic in general. And this year we've just made that decision that, you know, it's just going to be easier to, if we bag everything up, pre-package everything and have it ready to go for the customer versus them bringing their own reusable bags and, you know, say picking an item out of a bin versus having it in a bag and ready to go. And so we're kind of going back into our use of plastic again for that, but that's okay because we'd rather keep everyone safe right now. And so the way we are planning right now to do our CSA pickup is that we will have all the shares packaged, ready to go, and then we will place them out kind of at a distance apart from each other. If the weather's nice, they'll be out on the front patio of our farm stand area on tables spaced out. Or if the weather is inclement weather, then we'll be inside the farm stand area, and then we'll just do sanitization of all of the door handles and, you know, any surfaces that are touched in between. For the pickup, we will be utilizing disposable gloves and face masks. And so, and then our customers, I mean, that's, we're not going to force that on them, but that's up to them if they want to be wearing face masks and all of that. And we're, again, rural Sturgis. And so it's not as if we have 20 people show up at a time. We have like a 2-hour time frame when customers can come and pick up. And so they are always spaced out, and we don't do loads of CSA shares. We'll do probably about 20 to 25 total this year. And so, you know, we'll have 1 or 2, 3 customers here at a time. And I think everyone's pretty well ready to, you know, just to kind of stand back and let the other person go. And we'll just remind them if we need to. We are not doing, usually we are doing this time of year, lots of small tours of the farm for small groups. And we are not doing that right now, but we haven't really been asked to do it either. So it hasn't caused a problem for us.
Michelle, do you do any marketing other than your CSA?
Yeah, we will. We are just building a brand new farm stand and commercial kitchen right now. And so as that is completely finished, then that farm stand will be open normal business hours as a regular retail space to come and purchase vegetables, even if they're not a CSA customer. So we have about, I think, 3 weeks to really finalize our plans on how, you know, that will look. Again, I don't anticipate high quantities of people here at one time, so we'll just kind of spread people out as they come in. And, you know, we haven't had this farm stand before, so it's not like we really have to change anything we were doing before. It's a new venture for us, and so we will just implement, you know, the just like you would at the grocery store, with kind of having everybody spaced out a little bit, and again, we'll have masks and gloves. We at this time are not doing sales to small restaurants and such. We do that sometimes. We're going to kind of see how the farm stand sales go before we commit to that this year.
And this might be a question for both Michelle and Barb. I've been hearing from some producers that their demand for their product has increased drastically. And I think others are having trouble making those connections. So I'm just wondering what your perspective on it is. I'll let Michelle go first.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of interest in our CSA shares, you know, all at one time. In fact, we're kind of holding off on deciding what we were going to do with CSA this year. Usually I have that information out in January, and we start taking CSA applications and payments at that time. And because we knew we were doing the farm stand, we were kind of holding off on that, trying to decide, well, maybe we, you know, decrease the number of shares we were doing this year to have more to go into the farm stand, that sort of thing. And then with COVID-19, there was all of a sudden a huge interest in the CSA. And so we made that decision that, not knowing how long this will go on, that was obviously what customers were interested in and what they were wanting to do. So we needed to step up to the plate and offer the CSA shares. And that way, if they're not comfortable, say, coming into the farm stand as a retail space, then they can pick their items up, on the front patio there, or I can hand it to them in their car window if they want to. So we've had a lot of increased interest in that, and also in our meat sales, our packaged beef and lamb. And then we are doing broilers again this year, and I've already had a lot of people contacting me about that and wanting to put deposits down ahead of time on broilers. So yeah, it's definitely earlier. Lots of times I don't see large interest. I have like an early wave of customers for CSA, and then usually when the weather gets nice, then all of a sudden people think, oh, it's almost vegetable season, so I need to get in there really quick. And this time it was definitely coincided with the COVID-19 information coming out.
And Michelle, one last thing. I'm just realizing we may have some people online who don't know what a CSA is.
Oh, yeah, so CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and there are a lot of different models of that. Each farm or garden can model it differently. Ours is where the customer pays in the late winter, early spring, the full amount, and then each week or bi-weekly, every other week throughout the growing season, they get a quantity of the vegetables that we are producing for that growing season. And so they've paid once and then they're good for the season. They don't have to pay again. And that allows us to have some money up front early in the season when we're ordering seeds and any inputs, garden equipment, tools, whatever that we need to be getting on hand. We have that money up front, and then but then we kind of have to budget that money out through the season so that because we won't be getting money from them later on for the same vegetables, but we do some add-on products also. So and a lot of CSAs do that, so that later they can buy some honey or some beef or some lamb if they want to. There are other kinds of CSAs in the area, and they all structure it a little bit differently, but that works well for us.
Thanks. Barbie, you want to jump in?
Sure, thanks, Rhoda. We had a limited soft opening to work any, potential kinks out of the new software. And so we've really just had 1 week of, the market being fully opened for business. And it was smaller than we would typically see in a more normal season. And I attribute that to, not having events, not having, the community gathering space that's not healthy to do this year. And but I do feel confident that the demand will grow as we get the word out, as there's more produce available. And I think this will especially be a nice option as we get the volume of people wanting to fill their freezers, wanting to can, wanting to, set aside root vegetables, those kinds of things. And so it's about just kind of adapting to different needs this year and trying to fill those needs in the community.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing all that you've been planning to do, Michelle. It sounds like really thought that through. And I did just wonder, are your CSA shares sold out, or you still have some?
I still have about 3. I have 3 left.
Wow.
That's what I'm mentally put a limit that I feel comfortable, doing 25 this year, which is not a large number at all. But in the past years, I've been doing I did 18 last year. And of course, some of those are weekly and some are biweekly. So it's not full shares, but yeah, that's where I've capped it out for this year. And I have an apprentice on board this year, so he's helping me with the planting and transplanting and seeding. So that's really nice that I have extra help to get more out there. So that anticipating that a lot more people are going to be looking for local produce this year.
And then your farm stand, you're planning to open in June sometime? Or
yeah, right now we're looking at probably about the first week of June. We're painting and putting flooring in right now, so we'll see. But yeah, everything's coming along very nicely. So yeah.
All right. Well, great. And then we just have some local food resources to share for people who might be looking for meat or to buy directly from producers. And we have some East River, some West River resources there. And Rhoda is going to talk a bit more about those.
So a number of organizations have been working on the local foods for a while. The original one was the Local Foods Directory by Dakota Rural Action. And you can find them, I believe it's dakotaruralaction.org, or if you get a copy of this, to click on the link, or just Google it, and you'll find it too. That covers a broad range of local foods and includes listings for farmers markets and so forth. And this is updated every year or two. They're just currently in the process of updating it right now. So if you click on something and it doesn't go through, try again in a few weeks and it may. The South Dakota Specialty Producers Association is fruit and vegetable growers and specialty grains, specialty meats, basically non-commodity producers in the state that have worked together. And they have a website, sdspecialtyproducers.org. And they've been putting together this year a map of local food and products, which will also include farmers markets. So you can it's a clickable map so that you can go to the map, you can zoom in on your section of the state and you can find out who's there and how to connect with them. They also have separate pages for members who are producers to list their products and information. So you can link in through that. West River Food Federation is one that I am not familiar with, but it was developed to focus on West River communities. And so, as I said, a number of efforts are starting to try to connect people. And so out here on the west side of the state, we have a number of options. The Dakota Fresh Food Hub is a farmer-owned cooperative that's been in business for a few years now. And it doesn't actually own any of the food, it's a pass-through. So you can purchase, kind of like with what Michelle or Barb described with the Black Hills Farmers Market, only in this case, it's a round-the-clock type of thing. So you can purchase directly from a number of farmers with one online order, and then procure your food that way. So that is East River. So that's one of your very good options, East River. Then there's a Facebook group, South Dakota Local Meat Producers, for those of you who are looking for anything from beef to even yak. So it's a way for small scale producers to connect directly with their consumers. We're certainly finding out with this, with the situation we're in, that we are suddenly appreciating our small scale slaughterhouses or butcher shops. We've been losing those for a number of years in the state, and it's good that there are still some options there. Any questions about any of these? Or if you know of another one that you would like to contribute, please type it into the chat box. So there's been an effort by organizations across the state to work together to connect local foods with consumers and connect producers with each other also. And one of the efforts, one of the outcomes of those efforts are local foods listening sessions. And we wanted to have these in particular because of the effects of COVID. So one of the reasons for having this is to understand how COVID might be affecting local food production and local food availability for consumers. And personally, I think that COVID will be very beneficial for most of our local producers because people are starting to think locally and wanting to make that connection and knowing where their food is. So, but anyway, if you would like to hear what's going on across the state, if you'd like to voice your concerns or your ideas, everybody is invited to these listening sessions, whether you're a producer, a consumer, you work with school nutrition, you're a grocer, restaurant, resource provider, whoever wants to have part of the conversation is more than welcome. And if you just email me, I can send you the links for the sessions. One is today at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 o'clock Central. And then next Thursday, we'll have it early in the morning, 8 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock Central. So trying to connect with a couple different audiences there. And if you're interested in learning about what the conversation was, we will be trying to record those. And so again, you can just email me and I can send you the link afterwards or a copy of the transcripts or the report back on those if you're interested. Every year in South Dakota, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but we have a local foods conference. And we've been doing this for 10, 12 years now. It's always the first weekend in November, so Friday and Saturday, the first weekend in November. We're planning to have it in Sturgis this year, knock on wood. We're hoping that it will be in person. And it's always a variety of topics aimed especially at producers and the people around producers, but consumers are always welcome too. And we usually have a pretty good mix of people from a variety of areas and backgrounds. And so it's usually very high energy, lots of fun. We try very hard to procure local foods, and we usually have some chef cook-offs or demonstrations of how you can use local foods. So it's always a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. Mark it on your calendar and keep your ears open. And both the specialty producers and Dakota Rural Action, if you're a member of that, always advertise that. So if you're connected with those, you'll get that information, and we'll also have it on the extension website as well.
And it's usually held on a weekend. Is that right, Rhoda?
Yeah, it's always been Friday and Saturday. Sometimes we'll do a Thursday tour day in between, or right preceding it. And this year we were planning to do several tours, including down on Pine Ridge. But I'm thinking those may be on hold this year. We'll wait and see how it goes.
Well, thank you for telling us about all those local food resources and places to learn more or connect with producers. And that is what we have prepared. So we have about 10 minutes left if anyone has some questions. And then I also just wanted to share, we have some COVID-19 resources on our extension page. So that's extension.sdstate.edu. And then you will get a copy of this PowerPoint and the YouTube recording. And we have our contact information on there for Rhoda, Curtis, and I. And we can get you in touch with Barb or Michelle if you had a question specifically for them. So did anyone have any questions or comments to share? I think Lisi's been monitoring the chat box for us. I don't know if there has been anything.
I've been monitoring the chat box so far. No questions have come through, but Curry Ferguson posted a groceries, food, made in the USA Facebook group to the chat box, as well as BH Cup of Sugar, Help Your Neighbors. Looks like it's another Facebook group. Corey, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about those groups, please?
Well, yeah, the Cup of Sugar is Black Hills local group. Just everybody helping everybody out as far as food resources, mask resources, a lot of things really COVID related, where to resource different products and things like that. So it's a good resource for locally sourced foods as well. And then of course the groceries food made in the USA one is more, I think also formed by someone fairly local here, but just really on how to source foods here at home more than anything. So, and then I think Rhoda might have mentioned it, the local meat group is a South Dakota Local Meat Producers. That's a phenomenal group. It's really been growing in leaps and bounds. So.
Thanks, Corey. I lost my mute button there for a second. But thank you for telling us a little bit more about those two groups. Anybody's welcome to unmute themselves if they just want to make a comment or ask a question.
This is Chris Ringsmeyer. I just want to say thank you for gathering all this information together. I guess, Lisi, we've been on groups together. You know, this was probably my area of interest from all of the food and family that we've been on, although I've enjoyed all of them. And I did get the links for the discussion from Carrie O'Neill, so I hope to be able to participate in either tonight or next week. I don't know how the rest of my day is going to go, but again, thank you very much to everybody in the extension program that's gathered all of this information together. Really appreciate it.
Chris, we're delighted to have you here with us today, and your support means a lot to us. Corey dropped another Black Hills Strong Together, another Facebook group. So that's pretty exciting to see how many communities out there are working to be connected and kind of help support each other. Because I think as we keep hearing right now, we're all in this together. So it's phenomenal to see all of these groups that are growing. I put Curtis's email in the chat box as well as Rhoda's. Michelle provided hers. You are always welcome to reach out to us if you have questions. If we don't know the answer, we will certainly find out who does and be sure to connect you with that information. We can end the hour a little bit early unless anyone has another question. Barb just provided her email address as well. Thank you, Karen. So we appreciate you joining for this session. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns that you'd like to talk to us about off the line. We'll give back 5 minutes. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks for a great meeting.
Thanks to everyone for joining. Have a great rest of your day.